Hey guys, welcome back. Okay, so today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to be looking at a remaster of an old 64 game. So growing up, the 64 was very important to me. It's one of the first systems that I was old enough to own and buy games for on my own, so I have a lot of nostalgia for it. And today we're going to look at one of the first-person shooters I had ever played, and probably the first 64 game. And that's Turok the Dinosaur Hunter. So let's take a look. Turok the Dinosaur Hunter is a first-person shooter developed by the long-gone Iguana Entertainment and published by the also long-gone Acclaim. You play as Turok, a Native American warrior in charge of protecting a barrier between our world and another. A bad guy named the Campaigner is trying to collect a weapon called the Chronoscepter, which will allow him to destroy the barrier and rule the universe. What you need to know is that you're a badass blowing up guys and dinosaurs while finding keys in order to blow up more guys and more dinosaurs. Turok has aged very well for a 20-year-old game. This is probably the second first-person shooter I had ever played, with Doom being the first. I remember renting it multiple times as a kid and always having a blast. I mostly just used cheat codes for all the guns and warped to different levels. Playing the game without codes, I don't think I ever got past level 3. The jumping section at the end always got me, and for some reason I didn't really grasp the idea of getting keys and Chronoscepter pieces in each level. All I wanted to do was shoot guys. Playing Turok now, it's pretty obvious what you need to do. As mentioned, you have to go through each of the levels and collect a certain number of keys, which opens up new levels and eventually gets you to the last boss. You also have to find a Chronoscepter piece within each level. The Chronoscepter is the most powerful weapon in the game, and it'll make the last boss super easy. Actually, you know, I've never tried beating him without it. I think you can though, but I've never tried. But how is the game, you ask? Well, it's pretty damn good. Although I keep saying that Turok is a first-person shooter, it's really a first-person adventure game. While there's a lot of shooting, a good part of the game is exploring and platforming. There are so many scary jump sections that if you have low lives and no controller pack like I did as a kid, then get ready for some really sweaty palm moments. You may get frustrated if you're going to play this like a regular shooter. With the exception to the last two levels, which are very shooter heavy, getting lost and exploring the levels for keys is the main focus of the game, with enemies not really being the main challenge. In a lot of ways, it's very similar to Metroid Prime, where the shooting is number 2 to exploration. In terms of level design, some levels are better than others, and how good those levels are is dependent on whether you're playing the remastered version or not. For example, I found the catacombs pretty difficult on the Nintendo 64 due to the limited draw distance. It makes the maze-like design even more difficult when you can only see 5 feet in front of you. The remaster did change some parts in the levels, but I don't think you'll really notice. They were mostly just quality of life improvements. If you get the game on Steam, you can download a mod that will let you play the levels in their original orientation. The animation is great when compared to other shooters released around the same time. The movement of Turok and the enemies are just so fluid, and the kill animations are brutal as well. I used to freak out when an enemy would hold its neck with blood shooting out and letting out this choking sound, or aliens that self-destruct like the Predator. It was so cool. The weapon effects are great too. One shot of the fusion cannon and you'll know what I mean. The Turok series has some of the best weapons in first-person shooters. What the hell, let's look at them. First you have the knife and bow, and there's just something satisfying about knifing guys or picking them off with a bow and arrow in video games. Sometimes I just like to go through and see how long I can go with the knife. Just one run-by knifing after the next. Using them though is only good in the first level because they're completely useless due to their attack power once you get to level 2 or 3. I will give exception though to the bow when using explosive tech arrows. These are extremely useful against the enemies like the Perlin or the Demon Lords. The pistol is pretty standard and boring, but you will use it a majority of the game. 2 shots for most regular soldiers, and 5 shots for the Raptor. The shotgun is the workhorse gun, like most shooters. I love the design of it, and seeing the shell pop out after Turok pumps it is great. The fatal flaw of this one, though, is the upgraded version, the auto shotgun. It's available in the first level, so there's really no reason to use the regular one. The auto shotgun is the most important gun in the game. Higher level soldiers necessitates explosive shells from it. It sucks too because I really don't care for the weapon. I don't really like the look or the sound, but it is, again, the most useful. The assault rifle is good and acts as a standby when you're low on shotgun shells. Pulse rifle looks cool, sounds cool, but I've never used it. The minigun is straight out of Predator 1 and I love it. The grenade launcher is good and enemies drop a lot of ammo for it, but you just need to be careful with splash damage. You can die pretty quickly from it. Alien weapon is neat, but again, never use it. Now the particle accelerator is such a missed opportunity. It turns enemies into charcoal and then they explode. It's great. But you don't get it until level 5, and by that time you've got other more powerful weapons. And good luck finding it on the Nintendo 64 version. It's in a water tunnel and you cannot see anything. It's lucky if you find it. Rocket launcher shoots 3 rockets and it's pretty cool. Now the fusion cannon, that's my favorite. The sound it makes when you select it is just beautiful. I mean, you know it means business when you're taking it out. And the explosion from it's epic. Finally, you have the Chronoceptor. Best weapon in the game, but you don't get it until the last boss. Plus, it looks kind of like a spear and just doesn't have the intimidation of the fusion cannon. I kind of wish the fusion cannon would have been the Chronoceptor. You know, I wish they would have swapped it, because the fusion cannon is just amazing. One of the problems I have when playing first-person shooters is that unless I'm forced to use all the weapons, I just naturally conserve and save all the fun guns like I'm playing Resident Evil. I swear, I do this every time. I played through the whole game on Xbox One for this review, and I did not fire any gun past the assault rifle until the second last boss. Okay, I did use the rocket launcher on the robots in the last level, but that's it. I just ruined the fun. Just don't be me. Fire the fusion cannon, fire them all. As Tatsu says, one of the negatives of the game for me is how quickly enemies respawn. Sometimes it feels like 30 seconds after killing them, they're back. It kinda sucks when you clear out an area only to turn around and see the same enemies coming at you again. You'll start just avoiding enemies after the first level, only killing ones that really impede your progress. I'd rather more enemies that do not respawn. It forces me to move quickly and not appreciate the levels. The bosses are kinda lame too. The models look great, but the strategy is basically strafe in a circle and shoot until their health is gone. If you have full ammo in your weapons before the boss fight, you'll be good to go. But these are really small nitpicks and don't really change my opinion. The game is great. Now how should you play this game today? Well, let's start with the original 64 version. The frame rate is 30 frames per second, which is half the speed of the remaster, but plays great now and really doesn't exhibit a lot of slowdown, unlike the game's sequel. The controls take a little bit of getting used to. The C buttons move forward and strafe while the analog stick looks up and down, left and right. It's the same as a current shooter, but with the analog controls swapped. Playing this way is second nature for me, but if you're new to the control scheme, it may take a little while to get used to. The feeling of Turok's movement seems slightly different in the remaster. He doesn't feel as heavy, which may be a result of the higher frame rate. The head bob of your character is faster as well. I would say the Nintendo 64 movement feels more realistic, but the remaster is easier to control. The original also would snap back your aim to the center when letting off the stick if you were looking up and down. It's much smoother in the remaster and makes aiming a lot easier. Also, swim speed in the remaster is a lot faster. This is a big plus though, no more tapping the C button to go faster. The graphics are good but do show the limitations of the hardware. The first thing you'll notice right away is the draw distance. Turok renders the level a little bit in front of you and the rest is clouded in fog. While it does add this layer of mysticism and tension, it causes problems with certain aspects. As mentioned before, some of the levels, like Catacombs, are extremely difficult to navigate with a short draw distance. You'll be playing the entirety of the level with the map overlay on. Also, good luck trying to see underwater on the Nintendo 64 version with a modern TV. Even with my 64 outputting a pure digital signal with some of the system's anti-aliasing turned off via the Ultra HDMI mod, I still couldn't see shit. I would just swim against the wall and hope to pop out in the right area. I really need to try the RF connection to see how bad it can really be. The remaster fixes all of this though. Being able to see in front of you makes the game so much easier. There's still a little bit of fog, but I believe it's just a limitation of the engine. Overall, the remaster is definitely the way to go if you want to play Turok today. I will say that you should try to play the original if possible, just for the sheer appreciation of what they were able to accomplish back then. Alright guys, so there's my review for Turok the Dinosaur Hunter. If you do decide to play it now, really honestly you could play the 64 game and be fine. The frame rate is high enough that with the lack of draw distance on the 64, it's really not that bad. Of course, I do recommend the remaster just because of everything else, the controls, the graphics, everything. But you won't go wrong if you play the original. And, let me know in the comments, do you think this is a good game or am I just loving it because of nostalgia? Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.